Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will start with our third chapter, which is supply. Right, the definition of supply is the ability and willingness to sell or produce a particular product and services in a given period of time at a particular price, ceteris paribus. You already know what is the ceteris paribus mean. Unlike the demand definition, the demand is ability and willingness to buy, while for the supply is the ability and willingness to sell or produce a product. So that the differences between the definitions for supply and demand. Right, law of supply. Law of supply stated that the higher the price of a product, the greater is the quantity supplied of that product, and the lower the price, the lower is the quantity supplied, ceteris paribus. Right, where is the assumption the cost of production remain constant, number of seller remain the same, price of related goods do not change, and availability of other inputs remain unchanged. Right, law of supply dengan law of demand. In law of demand, when the price is lower, the demand will increase. But the differences here is, for the law of supply is, the higher the product, the higher the price of the product, the greater the quantity will be supplied. Maksudnya untuk demand atau permintaan, semakin harga tu berkurang, semakin tinggi permintaan. Tapi sebagai supplier, semakin tinggi harga sesuatu produk tu, semakin banyak kita akan supply. Right, law supply schedule dengan demand schedule. Before this, for the demand schedule, price for making one call for RM0 and up to RM10 or RM15, the quantity demand will be decreased. Tapi kalau untuk supply, when the price of the product increasing, the quantity supplied will be increased. Semakin tinggi harga sesuatu barang, semakin tinggilah kita akan supply. Why? Because we are going to make more profit. Okay, for this chapter you have to think or keep in your mind that you are a supplier, not a buyer anymore. Kamu adalah seorang pengeluar dan bukan lagi sebagai seorang pembeli. Right, supply curve. Normally it will tend to go upright like this. As compared to the demand curve, dia akan menurun macam ni. Semakin tinggi harga, dia punya demand akan jadi makin berkurang. Right. Individual supply is the relationship between the quantity of a product supplied by a single seller and its price. While for the market supply is the relationship between the total quantity of a product that supplied by adding all the quantity supplied by all the sellers in the market and its price. Okay, contohlah kata untuk individual supply, ia hanya mengambil kira regarding on the one seller only. But for the market supply, is the combination of all supplier at the certain price. Right, contoh kata sesuatu barang pada harga RM5, we will combine with the first shop and the second shop, or the first supplier and second supplier, and then you will get your market supply. Alright, for the interrelated supply, there's only two interrelated supply, which is the first one is joint supply and the second one is competitive supply. Joint supply is the product that are produced together from the same sources. Contoh kata dekat sini, you punya sources adalah daripada haiwan, so you will get leather and meat. or you can have meat and milk. Okay, there's something like that. That is the joint supply. Okay, kalau macam kata untuk apa lagi, pokok, what you can provide as a joint supply. Competitive supply is a product that require the same factors of production in the production process. Okay, competitive supply is commonly found in the agriculture sector, such as rubber and palm oil that require land. One had to give in, thus reduce its supply. If we are going to produce more rubber, then you have to reduce palm oil production, and vice versa. If you are going to make more palm oil, then you have to reduce on the rubber, because your main sources is the land. That is the competitive supply. Alright, determinant of supply. We have determinant. There are few points for the determinant of supply. If I'm not mistaken, there are 7 points for the determinant of supply, which is the first one is a price of related goods. Alright, for price of related goods, there are 2 sub points. The first one is substitute good, and the second one is complementary goods. For the substitute goods is when the supply of product will decrease if there is an increase in the price of substitute good. Okay, supply sesuatu produk itu akan berkurang jika substitute goods atau barang pengganti increase in price. Okay, example is when the price of Colgate increase, the quantity supply will increase, thus the quantity of fresh and white will decrease. Okay, kenapa jadi macam ni? It's because if the certain substitute goods ataupun barang-barang pengganti yang lebih kurang sama dah dinaikkan harga, so you as a supplier, you also want increase your product price. So macam mana cara dia? You akan kurangkan kuantiti produk pada harga yang rendah. At the end, you akan follow the market price dengan harga yang lebih tinggi. So that's how the things happen in the supply chain. Okay, contohlah kata kalau hari ni dekat pasar jual sayur sawi, harga dia RM2 sekilo, right? So tiba-tiba the next day sawi naik harga sebanyak no, it's not sawi. Example paling senang lah, saya bagi contoh mi segera. Okay, let's say hari ni mi segera Maggi harga dia RM3. The next week harga dia jadi RM4. So what happened to the Mami or Indomie, all those things? Dia akan kurangkan supply pada produk dia supaya produk dia akan jadi permintaan tinggi. Pembeli akan bertukar daripada Maggi pergi kepada Mami atau Indomie. At the end, apa akan jadi? Permintaan tinggi, pengeluaran kurang. So you boleh tingkatkan harga. So that is one happening in the supply for the substitute goods. Alright, for the complementary goods, increase in the price of product will increase the supply of complementary goods. Contoh kata, when the price of pen increase, the quantity supply for both pen and ink will also increase. Okay, apabila harga pen semakin meningkat, so the production, the supply will increase. So the complementary good, which is ink, will also increase. Sebab apa? Sebab dia complement to each other. The second one is the cost of production. When the cost of production increase, the supply will decrease, because you have to pay more for the labors, for the capital cost. Thus, you cannot use it for gain your sources. So you have to spend your money on the cost of production. Contoh kata sebelum ni untuk sesuatu pengeluaran you perlu keluarkan modal sebanyak RM1,000, you boleh hasilkan 100 barang. Disebabkan cost of production semakin meningkat, gaji kena bayar lebih, capital cost sudah naik, so you tak boleh nak hasilkan 100 barang lagi. You kena cut down your source ataupun sumber you, sebab you nak kena belanjakan untuk pekerja dan juga capital cost. Alright, so at the end you cuma boleh supply barang sebanyak 80 sahaja. So that's the simple calculation on the how cost of production will affect your total production. The next one is expected future price. The higher expected future price of a product, the lesser is the current supply of the product. Why? Because the seller want to gain extra higher profit. Right. Kalau lah you tahu next year harga bagi serta-serta produk dia akan meningkat. Contoh katalah sekarang dah nak musim gawai dengan musim raya, so kita tahu permintaan untuk pakaian baru sangat tinggi. So apa dia akan buat? Sebelum pada raya ni dia akan cuba kurangkan stok. Sebab bila dia tahu pada musim perayaan harga akan meningkat, so masa itulah dia akan keluarkan stok dengan banyak. So that is the expected future price. Sama juga kalau you tahu lepas raya permintaan untuk baju baru semakin berkurang, so you punya production ataupun you punya supply will decrease. Right, that one is expected future price. The next one, technological advancement. New technologies introduced to the producer, meaning that the producer will be able to produce more, thus increase the supply. Okay, contohnya apa? Contohnya kata untuk agriculture, you are using water pump or water pump to irrigate your water. Sebelum ni kalau kita guna manual, siram pokok guna tangan je, so you tak boleh nak habiskan sebanyak 2 atau 3 ekar pada masa satu hari. But when you are using technologies such as water pump, you can irrigate your farm for 2 or 3 acres or more just within a minute. Okay, that one is technological advancement. Ada teknologi baru yang masuk ataupun diperkenalkan, kita boleh meningkatkan lagi hasil pengeluaran. Number of sellers. Large number of sellers, larger the quantity supply of the product and vice versa. Okay, contohlah kata dekat muka orang yang seller ataupun producer sayur hanya ada seramai 3 orang. So seorang ni dia boleh menghasilkan 100 kilo sayur pada masa satu hari. So 3 hari akan ada 300 kilogram of sayur. Right. Apabila number of sellers meningkat, contoh kata ada lagi orang luar masuk dan dia pun boleh supply 100 kilo lagi sayur. So total for the market supply dah meningkat jadi 400 kg. So number of sellers will determine the number of supply. Right. Makin bertambah number of seller, makin banyaklah kuantiti yang akan di supply. Alright, government policies. Government policies, normally there are 2 types of government policies that impose in the that may affect the supply. The first one is tax and the second one is subsidies. Tax akan will cause the decrease for the supply. It will discourage the seller from producing extra and also increasing cost of production. So apabila when you are producing something, then government impose tax to you. So what will happen? Makin banyak you produce certain product, so makin banyaklah you kena bayar tax. So kita pun, so you akan ambil inisiatif tak nak menghasilkan banyak sangat produk. At the end you have to pay lots of tax. The second one is subsidies. In agriculture sectors, there are lots of subsidies given by the government. Okay, contohnya macam apa? Subsidi baja, subsidi benih, okay, macam-macam subsidi. So these subsidies will increase the supply of, motivate you to produce more. The more you producing, the more subsidies you will get. So it will encourage producers to produce more. Sektor-sektor lain jarang sikit kita nak dengar akan dapat subsidi. It is more on the agriculture or under Ministry of Agriculture, MOA. MOA will get more subsidies as compared to another sectors. Sebab apa? Sebab kita adalah pengeluar makanan. Government try to encourage farmers to produce more food to be obtained by the country. The next one is the improvement in infrastructure, right? Improvement in infrastructure will lead to the free and fast movement of goods and services within the country. Thus, it will increase the supply of the product. Okay, kalaulah dulu kita bercucuk tanam tak ada jalan raya yang sempurna untuk kita distribute our product. So when there is improvement in infrastructure such as road, so it's make you easier to move your product to the certain market or places. So ianya boleh meningkatkan kita punya supply. So at the end, the quantity of supply will increase. Right, that is the 7 determinant of supply. Okay, next, changes in quantity supply versus change in supply. Okay, changes in quantity supply dengan changes in supply is different things. Right, the first one we go for the changes in quantity supply. Changes in quantity supply is only happen when only price of the product change and other factors remain constant. In a graph, they will have a movement along the supply curve. Upward movement, where is the increase in price, quantity supply also increase. Downward movement, in decrease in price, the quantity supply also decrease. It's very simple. Harga makin naik, quantity supply makin naik. Harga berkurang, quantity supply makin berkurang. It's very simple. That very straightforward. Okay, change in supply. Change in supply it only happen when the price remain constant but the other factors are changed. Other factors is the determinant of supply. Okay, change in supply boleh berlaku apabila 7 determinant of supply tadi berlaku tapi harga tetap sama. Right, this will cause movement of entire supply curve, where the curve will shift to the right, which is determine the supply will increase. Curve shift to the left, supply will decrease. Alright, ianya berbalik daripada change in quantity of supply. Change in supply adalah disebabkan oleh 7 determinant of supply tadi. Right, we also have exceptional supply. This one did not have in demand, it's only in supply. Exceptional supply is occur when the price of a product increase but the supply decrease. Alright, law of supply kita belajar the first one tadi. Apabila harga sesuatu barang meningkat, supply akan meningkat. Tapi ada juga berlaku di mana apabila harga sesuatu barang atau produk meningkat, dia punya supply berkurang. This one as we known as a backward bending labor supply curve. Normally happen in supply of labor. Right, macam mana? Right, ianya adalah disebabkan oleh hours work ataupun berapa lama kita bekerja. Okay, tengok kat sini. Okay, wage rate adalah kadar bayaran gaji. Semakin tinggi kadar bayaran gaji, supposedly permintaan untuk bekerja jadi semakin tinggi. Tapi pada satu tahap dia akan jadi backward, ataupun walaupun gaji semakin tinggi, orang akan kurang dah nak bekerja. Kenapa? Alright. Supply of labor, number of hour or day is offered for higher at different wage rate. Higher the wage rate, the longer the supply or working hours will be. Okay, macam mana boleh berlaku exception ni? This is because by the work leisure ratio. Okay, nisbah bekerja dan juga untuk berehat. 24 hours divided into work or leisure, non-working time. Opportunity cost of working is to forgo the hours of leisure. Okay. Alright. Kita manusia tak boleh nak bekerja selama 24 jam. No, you have your time for works and you also need time for rest. Okay, for your leisure time. Okay, contoh pertama dekat sini adalah substitute effect. Higher the wage rate, people will increase working hour and substitute leisure with work. Leisure was substitute by work. Semakin tinggi kadar barang gaji, people kita akan memilih untuk bekerja instead of berehat, sebab kita nak dapatkan upah yang lebih tinggi. So that is very common. Tapi macam mana boleh berlaku backward ni? Which is the first one is because of income effect. Higher income induce an increase in demand for leisure. Kalau you punya income tu dah tinggi, or your income is very high, so it tend to ianya akan menyebabkan kamu memilih untuk berehat. Maksudnya, contoh kata sebelum ni you have to work for 10 hours to get 50 ringgit per day. Tapi bila you punya gaji dah capai 100 ringgit sehari, kan, you have to work for 10 hours and you will get 100 ringgit. So you will choose only to work for 10 hours. Kan, sebelum ni kena kerja 10 jam nak dapat 50 ringgit. So you rather to work extra time to get more wage rate. Tapi sebab gaji dah tinggi, dia kata alah, kerja 10 jam tu dah dapat gaji tinggi, so I don't need to work for longer period of time. Right. Itu adalah satu faktor dia. The second is when money is no longer a motivation. Duit dah tak memberi apa-apa maksud ataupun apa-apa makna. Dia dah tak motivate you untuk bekerja. Orang kata kerjalah, gaji 1 jam kita bayar RM50. Tapi kata it's not money that I'm looking for, but I need time for my leisure time. So duit bukan lagi satu motivasi. Dia akan pilih untuk berehat selain daripada bekerja. Alright. Ada ke orang macam tu? Ada. When money, the third one is increase in income will reduce the labor supply. Income yang semakin meningkat akan menyebabkan labor supply will decrease. Kan? Contoh kata dulu, untuk bekerja they will pay you for 600 ringgit, but now majikan or employer have to pay for about 1,200 ringgit for each employee. So apakah jadi? Employer dah tak boleh nak menggaji lebih ramai pekerja, so they will reduce the level. Right. Point of backward bending curve. Okay. Ianya akan menentukan dekat mana berlakunya point of backward. Okay. This situation akan menentukan dekat mana berlakunya point of backward, which is dekat sini. Kan? Right. The next one is the elasticity of supply. Elasticity of supply is very easy. It's just to measure the sensitivity or responsiveness of the quantity supplied due to a change in price of a product or services. Okay, just like as demand, price elasticity of supply ni you have to compare between changes in quantity supply with the changes in price. This one have in the video that I share link to you, and you can learn from that video. Right, please do this example and submit to to our group in Telegram, or you can write it down in a proper way, then submit in the Google Drive, which is under further assignment for the chapter 3. Right. Okay, degree of elasticity. Elastic when the coefficient is greater than 1. Small percentage change in the price lead to a larger percentage change in quantity supplied, while for the inelastic, when the coefficient is less than 1, large percentage change in the price only lead to a smaller changes in the supply. Okay, same with the degree of elasticity of demand. There are also 5 type of elastic degree of elastic for supply. The third one is for the unitary elastic supply, which is coefficient equal to 1, where the price change equal to the supply change. Perfectly inelastic supply, where percentage change in the price have no effect on the supply. And also perfectly elastic supply, where very little zero or change in the price related to a very large change, percentage change in the quantity supply. Right, I want you find example for this 5 type of degree of elasticity. Okay, cari contoh barangan apa yang boleh terjadi di elastic dengan inelastic, unitary elastic, perfectly inelastic, and perfectly elastic. Alright, determinant of price elasticity of supply. The first one is technology improvement. Modern methods of production expand output, hence supply become more elastic. Okay, tadi kita ada determinant of supply. This one is determinant of price elasticity of supply. It's two different things. Time period, short term less elastic, long term more elastic, as producer able to adjust their production. Right. Normally agriculture product we are under short term period. Right, kita bukan long term period, sebab kita menghasilkan sesuatu barang by batch. Contoh kata you tanam sayur, within for a few weeks or months, then you can harvest your production. Then after that you boleh tentukan ataupun adjust balik you punya cost of production, all those things, untuk menentukan your price elasticity of supply. Availability and mobility of factors of production. Where factors of production is available and can be used for another purpose, supply will be more elastic. Okay, so contoh kata your factors of production ni you boleh guna untuk benda yang lain. Okay, contoh kata tanah, selain daripada bercocok tanah, you ada juga buat ternakan air. So you boleh beli ikan, which is air daripada ikan, you boleh irrigate your pond, your farm. Okay, so yang ni akan menentukan you punya determinant on the elasticity of supply. Nature of the market. When products sold in different market, it tends to be more elastic. Different country, different market. Perishability. More perishable product, less elastic the supply, and vice versa. Okay, barang yang mudah rosak dia kurang elastik, sebab you tak boleh nak simpan lama. So you boleh kena ikut je harga pasaran semasa untuk jual you punya produk, or else your produk tak laku dan you akan rugi. Alright, this is the elasticity of supply of agriculture goods versus industrial good. Okay, perbezaan di antara agriculture goods and industrial goods in terms of elasticity of supply. For the agriculture goods, the supply for agriculture goods is inelastic as compared to the supply of the industrial good or manufactured goods, which is more elastic. Okay, manufactured goods ni adalah barang-barang, anything barang yang dibuat dalam kilang. Okay, contoh kata kita ambil pasal makanan, yang ni mungkin sayur, yang ni mungkin makanan dalam tin. Right. For agriculture goods, they are easily perishable, senang rosak. Digestion period is relatively longer. Jangka hayat ataupun waktu pembuatan dia lebih lama. Input used in an agriculture product are not easily substitute with other. Okay, bahan-bahan ataupun source untuk kita menghasilkan agriculture product ni tak boleh nak diganti dengan lain. Kita perlukan tanah untuk bercucuk tanam. So tanah ni nak ganti dengan apa? So it's very difficult. Supply depends greatly on the climatic condition. Therefore, the supply fluctuates greatly during the year. Okay. Supply also depends on the keadaan cuaca. Ada musim tengkujuh, ada musim panas, kan? Itu belum masuk lagi ke negara yang ada 4 musim. Ada lagi musim sejuk dan yang musim bunga. So, the climate condition akan fluctuate the production of the crops. Thus, we fluctuate the supply. Instead, for the manufactured goods ataupun industrial goods, the product can be kept for a long time. Kadang tu sampai bertahun-tahun. Kan, makanan dalam tin, kita beli apa? Packet beans. Berapa tahun dia punya jangka hayat berbanding dengan kacang yang dijual dekat pasar. Okay. Digestion period is relatively shorter. Jangka pembuatan dia adalah lebih sekejap. Kalau yang agriculture goods kita kena tanam sendiri, ambil masa 2-3 bulan. Yang ni sekejap je, ambil kacang yang dah siap, proses dia within a day dah boleh siap. So boleh produce lebih banyak. Input used in manufactured product can be substitute with others. Okay, contoh kata dekat sini, apa yang dia boleh substitute? Contoh kata kacang. Kacang tak ada, dia boleh substitute dengan benda lain. So they can keep producing product using different inputs. Supply does not depend much on the climatic condition. Therefore, the supply is stable throughout the year. Okay, yang ni dia tak bergantung kepada climatic condition. Sebab apa? Sebab the production is produced inside the building. So masa tu hujan ke, ribut ke, butir beliung ke, they did not bring any effects, kan? Unless workers je yang datang kerja. But the production is still going on. Alright, then that's all for the chapter 3. Like usual, please make a very creative and informative mind maps, and then submit it in the Google Drive. Right. Okay, that's all for me for the chapter 3, and thank you so much.